Welcome to the BleedRedBlacks podcast.
Best fans in the league right here, baby!
With your hosts, Colin and Mike.
Susie Q.
Produced by Mark and Johnny Z. BleedRedBlacks starts now.
BleedRedBlacks.
Gabriel is open in the end zone. Touchdown! The Ottawa fans and players are going crazy.
Your number one podcast for all things Red Black.
Left, Henry still on his feet. Now the toss, and it is caught for the touchdown. Wallace Miles.
Every season,
Echo drops the pass. End zone shot. Back right corner. Caught for the touchdown. Jamal Smith.
all season.
For Burris on first down, drops the pass, pressured in the pocket, takes off himself. Down to the goal line. Touchdown, Burris.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the BleedRedBlacks podcast. I'm Colin. I'm joined here once again by my partner in crime, season ticket holder Mike. What's up, man?
Well, coming in here on a loss, so I'm doing the best I can. Some of us are still hungover from the loss,
Yeah.
mostly the loss though. But as you know, we have some guests this week. And you gonna introduce them, or I got this one?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
All right. So stage right, your left, something like that.
My stage left.
Your stage left. We have Southside Pete in the house.
Hey, good day, our nation.
I know, Pretty good. And then my left, we have Clint from Southside as well.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Unbelievable. So again, we're bringing in some cultured fans, some fans that have been around the game for a while, who understand the ins and outs of being a Ottawa football fan. We'll go with that. And then
Well said.
yeah, an Ottawa football fan.
We're not just new Red Blacks fans, right? The fan base is not an expansion fan base like people might think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? So we were Rough Rider fans, we were Renegade fans, and we're Red Blacks fans.
Yep. The
Which
R.
is why the Our Nation works.
That's right. That was so important to me, and then we brought that up, and I just lost myself in the headphones here. Is that the R was very important in our process of going through with the logo and the marketing of the team. I thought the R just represented everything I needed to feel at home again.
Yeah,
That's
for
right.
sure.
And that discussion went on quite extensively when they announced the name. And I think most people made it clear that the R was the most important part. And for me, having something bilingual made a lot of sense. You know, this community is a bilingual community, and having a name that worked well. I mean, I like the French name Rouge et Noir. I think it's pretty awesome. So
Yeah, it's got its own feel to it almost. Like, yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I don't mind that bilingualism, that's for sure. Considering that I'm also Francophone. But Red Blacks, considering that our nickname used to be the Red and Black,
Yep.
I mean, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a natural step.
These guys knew what they were doing when they put together the marketing plan, and Jeff Hunt probably had, a team of guys just making sure that they were putting the right formula together to erase. And I know I've talked to you guys personally about this a few times, but to erase that kind of segment of the mid 2000s of our history, and I don't mean erase it in a sense like we have to forget about it, but forget about the mismanagement of that era,
Sure.
known as the Renegades. I think a little.
And
bit.
remember the players that still
Yeah.
worked hard for the city during that era, for sure.
But
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, times are tough here right now, coming off a loss. I'm starting to feel like a Sask fan, only half as bad.
half as bad.
Yeah.
I mean, 0-4. I don't know what's going on there, and I'm not caring, to be honest. So,
But
exactly.
Let it be 0-18. I wouldn't mind. That's for
They
sure.
can keep that. They can keep that pace. That's just fine.
They can, and what's interesting is like if you would have asked me like going into game 5 if we were going to be 500, I would have been optimistic and said yes, but deep down I'd have been like, okay, I don't really believe that now, do I? But
I'm like, can they see my pick'ems? Like, do they know?
They know?
So I have to pick? Yeah. Let's save that for later in the show, because that's a whole other gong show.
yeah,
Sure is.
but no, it's being 500 is respectable right now, especially in the East for now.
Yeah.
And we're still number one in the East.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Everyone's playing tough. Everyone's playing tight. So, I mean, that last game, it was one of those type of games for sure. So,
Yeah.
So you guys are huge members of the SouthSiders.
That's right.
Now, I think you guys have, you've done an awesome job, not only supporting your own group, but our nation, and you guys are a lot of fun. And I mean, we're Northsiders, and so far so good. Maybe we should have told them that at the end of the show.
Yeah,
No,
it's
they
all
know.
good.
It's all good.
love.
It's all
It's
good.
all love.
Yeah.
But just tell us about the Southsiders briefly, if you wouldn't mind, and kind of how it got started, and what's the deal with you guys?
Sure. Well, the reason why I like the SouthSiders for a few reasons. One being that it started in 1980 as a fan club, right? And most of us weren't even born yet in 1980.
Sorry,
so
Mike.
when I was
Mike
I was
shrugs.
too.
a few of us at least.
Yeah, that's
Mike
right.
was at the first meeting, I think.
I was there. Yeah, I remember it. I remember it now. We were drinking Molson Export out of Stubbies.
Sorry.
So basically, how it started. I mean, again, for me, I was a young kid, and I would actually just watch the games on CBC, and it seemed that at every home game, Byron Smith, the president of the Southsiders, would be interviewed in the stands. Right. So for me, it was wow. Look at these hardcore fans supporting this team that at that time was awful.
Yeah.
Right. And we're talking late 80s, early 90s, where a 4-14 record seemed to be the norm.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was my era. Yeah.
Yeah, whenever there was a victory, it seemed as if we're about to make the playoffs, and
There was a lot of Grey Cup parades planned, like
Well-
that one win in '93. You'd be ready. That was it.
Yeah.
You were ready to march down with Glenn Kalka and everybody. And just,
By week 8, you had your paper bag out.
but that
Well,
that
not
was
quite.
during the Renegades. Yeah, during the Renegades.
not for the Southsiders.
No.
We always have that drive, and it's also like a fraternity basically, which is why I was always really into it. Even when I was 12 years old, I bought my first Southsiders T-shirt, and I felt like I belonged, even though it was my first year having season tickets.
Yeah.
Right? So there was also that camaraderie that came with it. And also the fact that the South Side was always, especially back then, less now. Back then, there was an obvious difference between the North Side and the South Side. One being that, sure, we all know there's a roof on the North Side. But on the South Side upper deck, there wasn't even support for your back, right? It was just
That's right.
flat bench. So your back was aching by the second quarter.
That explains your core. You're looking
Well, there
pretty
you go.
good, bud.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Us Northsiders, not so much, but
Well, I'm usually on my feet during the game, so I can exercise there.
Not on the North Side.
we're trying.
We sit on our hands over there.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. And there was an attitude difference. Me being a young man going to the South Side, it was automatic. When you were a young man, you bought tickets to go sit on the South Side. Because that's where the fun was when you were a kid. And that's where you would also know that you could jump down from the South Side right after the game and run around on the field like an idiot and not get in too much trouble. And run in behind Scott Oak while he's interviewing like a random player, and scream into the camera. I mean,
not the first time we talked about Scott Oak on this show.
Scott Oak, you know what? Solid guy.
Absolutely.
He used to cover CFL for CBC big time.
Yeah,
For sure.
He's got a great head of lettuce.
So what about yourself, Clint? How'd you wind up with the Southsiders?
It was actually just luck on my part.
Yeah.
I went to the name unveiling event
Yeah.
by myself. I had my Rough Riders flag with me, the OG.
Yeah.
Had my replica helmet that I made, and I was just wandering around, and I happened to run into Southside Pete and Chris. And they basically tucked me under their wing, said, "Come with us. You look like you're a good time. Why don't you come sit with us and join this Southsiders?"
That's amazing.
I was all in, and I've been all in ever since.
That's really
So,
cool because
yeah.
I would have never known you hadn't known this guy for,
Yeah.
for 20 years as well.
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah.
guys seem tight, and that's awesome.
it's
right?
amazing.
I mean, same thing could be said for you and I, Mike. We have,
Yeah.
we don't go back too far either.
No.
But it's nice, just like obviously you dudes get along well, and you
Yeah,
got quite
exactly.
a good thing
Like
going on over
like
there.
Pete said, it's a brotherhood. You know, we're one big family.
Yeah.
All of our nation is one big family. But
Absolutely.
Southsiders, it's just an amazing group, really.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys are not only great at games, obviously, just with your cheering, but you guys do a lot of charity stuff as well. And I know Byron has been an active community leader, and a big mad props to him, and I can't wait to get him in here one day for sure.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, he's the president for life of the Southsiders.
Yeah.
And, everything that he does usually goes to the charity that he supports, Ride for Dad.
Yep.
Amazing.
So another reason why, we push this. And again, I mean, we tend to cheer Northside Sucks, frankly, just to get the crowd going.
Sure.
Right? I mean,
what it's all about.
As a Southsider, nothing makes you happier than to see the whole stadium packed to capacity. Right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
So whenever we have Northsiders coming to our tailgates, it's like, well, hey, join the family. We're all supporting the same team here. and it's just to get the crowd going.
You let me in last week, so I felt pretty good.
You're always welcome.
And you're welcome again.
And I knew if Mike was good to go, I shouldn't have.
That's
any
why
trouble.
he didn't show.
Yeah.
He let me go on my own. You know, he was like,
say-
texted me, "Is everything okay?" I didn't answer his text right away, so it seemed like everything wasn't okay. But
So I stopped by his house, make sure everything was there. His car was there. It was locked. I didn't know what was going on. Knocked on the door, but apparently you're in Brewer Park and you're in good hands. So.
in good hands. In fact,
Luckily, Instagram let me know you're okay.
yeah, we're hanging out with players.
Right? Like
and-
before social media, I might have had to call the police.
Yeah.
that was really cool of Travis to stop by.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about tell us about how that Brewer Park thing has come about, and maybe now that we're on the podcast talking about, we'll get a few more people in.
Sure. Well, another thing I must add, frankly, for our tailgate, which is great and it's always growing. Well, it started initially during the Renegades era with the Renegade Nation and Southsiders. It was always the same guys that were intense about supporting the team, and it was just a natural link, right? So whenever you have a Southsiders tailgate, you're always going to have members of our nation. So the way it happens at Brewer Park, we had a hard time with the tailgates last year at Carlton U in the parking lot, right? So we had a bus shuttle there. The team says, hey, come park your cars here, and you could just get on the bus and go watch the game. So what do we naturally do? Set up a nice little tailgate.
Yep.
We got into trouble for that for no apparent reason.
A little
'cause all we're
barbecue
doing-
action, and everything. Yeah,
We're just having fun before the game.
Yep.
So we figured, hey, Brewer Park, I mean, nice
Beautiful
area,
spot.
close by. We could
Yeah.
still walk down.
Yep.
We set it up.
Amazing too. It was just you guys have the tent going. There's barbecue, friendly passing the ball around with some young lads, and just feels like everybody. And I felt so welcome going in there. Everybody's introducing themselves to me and asking me where I sit, what I do. I tell them I'm with the podcast, and they want to know more. And it was just a great experience for me. I met the president of the North Side, the gentleman that was in the suit there. That we met.
Man with the socks.
And the socks. I love that picture.
Those
on
were
Facebook.
power socks.
And then just the group feel when we walked back from Brewer Park back to that was amazing. Banging the drum and waving the flags and
Cowbells going.
cowbells
noise.
going and wake.
Yep.
What was the cheer? It was
Wake up the glebe.
wake up the glebe. I don't know who started that. Might not have been.
That could have been the Gatineau contingent.
It'll
there.
take more than
they
a
get
cheering
little
line to
rowdy.
wake them up, boys. I hate
They
to
get
break
a
it
little
to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, whoever shows up to Brewer Park wearing a Red Blacks t-shirt or hat or jersey is definitely welcome. That's for sure.
That's amazing, and obviously, come and respect where you are and be clean and respect your environment, and good times will be had.
And I saw one of your members make reference to, and I don't have her name off the top of my head, but the woman that's doing the tour and the photo tour.
Jahani Jutras, I think her name is. Yes.
She'll be making an appearance there.
Yeah,
on
she'll be coming on Friday
night. Good.
Yep.
It's good exposure for what we've done here is
Yeah.
building a small little group culture from your end to right across our nation. I love
Absolutely, just to support the team, really.
Yep.
Another thing I really like about Southsiders is the fact that regardless of whether it was the Rough Riders, the Renegades, Red Blacks, well, we're always around. We're always the Southsiders supporting Ottawa CFL.
That's right.
Right, so nothing's changed. Right, for me, I mean, it's always going to be the Rough Riders.
Can I ask you guys what you did when the Renegades left? I had a hard time doing anything. Like I was lost going to Montreal, but I couldn't fit them into my life, so to speak. Like I tried, and I couldn't. Even though the football was good, I just didn't have the same soul, I guess, for the team. What about you guys?
I only ever really honestly went to a handful of games.
Yeah.
Couldn't really afford it. I know they weren't expensive, but just had other things going on in my life.
Yeah.
And similar to you, it's just it never worked out.
No, couldn't get into it, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the Renegades. Like I'd watch them on TV and whatnot, and it's really a shame that they collapsed when they did. Because the following year, of course, 3/4 of the team in Saskatchewan, then they win the friggin' cup.
That's right.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah. Some people are still hurt.
Pete's gonna get all riled up again there.
Yeah, I get antsy. Well, frankly,
I was wondering why he smiled so much when I said that 0-4 comment earlier. I get it now. There's
That was
some deep-rooted hurt in there. I like
I
it.
don't really like the Saskatchewan Green Whites much, frankly. But that's another story. Let's not even go there.
Yep.
It's pretty simple for me. When Ottawa has a CFL team, the CFL is my favorite league in sports.
Yeah.
I try to follow every game I can.
Yep.
However, when Ottawa doesn't have a team, I do not follow the CFL at all. I discard it. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know who makes it to the Grey Cup. I don't care because I'm in mourning. It's like that's the one team that I support the most in sports.
And that's how I ended up. I ended up trying to get on the Montreal bandwagon, and then just tailed off and watched 2 or 3 games a year. And now I can't get enough of the entire league. Like, I'm eating up every single game.
I agree.
Every single weekend.
And even in between games for me, I'm constantly on social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook,
how
everything.
awesome.
Our Nation forum.
Ournation.ca. Definitely, listeners got to check that out. I'm a lurker there. I totally lurk and just follow everything. And you guys talk so much about the players and what's going on. I love it. And that's also says a lot about how fan groups grow, though, because if you go back to the Renegades era, there was nothing to, like, what was I going on MySpace to check out the Renegades? Gleiberman's was I checking out Ronnie Gleiberman's MySpace?
You're looking at the post-it notes that are put up on the corkboard at Hartman's. You're not going to find too much there for groups, that's for sure.
No, there was the Renegade Nation forum back then, but I think it was more of a closed group. Versus being an open group the way it is now.
And I would have never found it.
Yeah.
You know.
It didn't work on Netscape, so that was your problem.
Probably my problem, yeah.
Well, what's nice about r-nation.ca, just to be exact, whoever wants to check it out, it's a forum for Ottawa football fans, and you will find some fans nationwide, right? So we'll have some guys from Vancouver telling us about their experience when they watch the game in BC or Edmonton or wherever. And the great thing about it is that it permitted us to have these tailgates from people that are coming from out of town.
Yes.
Right? Some of the guys that set up the tailgate, for example, Glenegade, he'll come in from Tremblant early, and he'll be the first one there, probably at 10, 11 in the morning.
Yeah. And that's what we're finding, awesome, too, with this culture here is, you know, we got guys that listen out of Ohio, guys that listen out of Seattle. The world is now your community, right? And with sports, it's the new sports is the new religion. We don't need to get into that mythology, but yeah, it's definitely we all have something in common, and it helps unite us all.
Okay, you want to get into this now? A little BRB intro action or what?
Yeah, so
you ready for
speaking
this?
of things that bring us together, Blues Fest, right? And I saw Pete at Blues Fest, so we'll get into this, even though I wasn't able to say hello to him, but I saw him. I think we were both a little mangled. I was like, there's Pete! and I blinked a few times like, oh, he's gone.
How'd he get that vest with the spikes in here? He must know security or something, but you just wear it under your t-shirt. Yeah, I think you're jacked.
I usually try to hide it when I enter the stadium. But
it's the championship belt. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
they got used to me now. So.
Yeah, so I was there all weekend, and Saturday was all right. Saw some jazz. That's what I was going for primarily. Wasn't into too many of the mainstream bands playing that day. But yesterday, me and some people went down to check out Weird Al, and he was amazing. Like,
classic, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I had these expectations for him. I didn't know what to expect. I knew it'd be funny. I knew that it would be entertaining, and I knew that it would be like a huge throwback to my youth. And he nailed every aspect. So we had a wicked time, and it was funny hearing parents explaining to their children like why it's funny. Amish Paradise. Like, you kidding me? Like, kids are like, what is going on here? Or like even Fat. They're like they know who Michael Jackson is, but they're just not putting two and two together. So
exactly.
It was an awesome time, and I love those homemade lemonade stands. You know those things?
Oh yes.
There's just something about the stand being like made of the shape of a lemon. Like, it's just brilliant.
Yeah. Even the seeds are good.
Yeah, that's right. I find myself chomping on the lemon seeds. I'm like, I already paid for it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't eat the cup, so
I was. What did you guys pick out of there? I know I saw you the night the Arkells played. I saw you wandering around.
I saw the Arkells. They put on a good show.
Always,
they were great. However, if there's one band that really surprised me on how good the show was, it's a band called Milky Chance. It's a German duo.
Yep.
They have a few songs that are popular on Live 88.5, and they were great. The crowd was really into it. That was probably the best show I saw at Blues Fest.
Nice.
And I'm a volunteer, so I catch quite a few shows.
Nice. Excellent. I know, Clint, you were at, you saw a little Paul Oakenfold, I believe.
Yes, sir. I'm more of an electro type guy.
You like your EDM, I know.
I love my EDM. So I was there for Jack U.
Skrillex, maybe?
Yeah, it was Skrillex and Diplo. The show was decent. The music they were playing wasn't really my cup of tea. I
Yep.
prefer more of the dubby stuff that Skrillex puts out.
Yep.
And it was interesting. I respect them for what they do. They have kind of like a reggae twinge to their stuff that they do together.
Nice.
So it was okay.
Cool. Yeah,
lots of kids.
You and I
feel so freaking old at Blues Fest.
Yeah, I do too. But EDM, you and I had to talk about putting together our Paul Oakenfold mix CDs when we were like back in 15 years ago.
Electric Circus days
from
with
Electric
Chris Shepard.
Circus.
I was definitely the only guy there stretching after the first hour. That's for sure. So.
Nice.
But Paul Oakenfold was amazing.
He's
Cool.
he's a legend.
Yeah,
So you can't.
I mean, dude's been doing it for 30 plus years.
Cool. People are going to complain about the lineup regardless, right? And I like that they're integrating kind of, different genres. And I mean, sure, that might not have as much blues as people would like, but I mean, you got to pay the bills too. And from what I hear, they take a hit every year anyway.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for grants, we wouldn't have the thing in the first place. So it is a pretty chilled music festival. And yeah, I mean, I think everyone in the community should at least get their butt through the door one day,
Oh, yeah,
regardless of
Yeah.
who you're going to see, even if that's to see David Usher. Even David Usher. I'm saying it.
Just to go and experience it.
David.
well worth
Yeah,
it
no,
just
it's
to
true, though.
experience
The
Yeah.
problem with David Usher, he gets double booked at the Gloucester Fair all the time. So it's always like, you know what I mean?
And people come for Moist and they got David Usher. We came for Moist.
Yeah, we can.
Well, what would you prefer, Kim Mitchell or David Usher?
Oh, this could go. This conversation. It's only a 1 hour podcast. So I love the podcast crossover that's going on, and to hear Janine last week with Andrew and Uncle Tim on the Eskimos Empire, it was great, and we definitely got to get out there sooner than later. And I don't mean to be a broken record, but I just can't get that Legion buffet out of my mind. Like, there's something about a Legion buffet pregame ceremony that just sounds beyond religious. So I want to get as many people on the show as possible, and we love having guests in here, and we'll be working with the Skeleton Crew over the next few weeks. We're not really too sure what the show's going to sound like.
Summer holidays. Plus, we have a bye week with the Red Blacks too.
Mhm.
We're gonna be all jonesing for some football, right?
We got a bye week. Yeah. Mike's going out of town. One of our producers is going out of town. So we're gonna do the best we can. And anyways, if anyone wants to have a chat with me on Skype or want to get involved, get in touch with us at BleedRedBlacks on Twitter or BleedRedBlacks at Gmail for our email account. So.
Wouldn't be a podcast without getting a Champions update from you. How are those hot dogs on Thursday night?
$1 hot dogs going down range,
Yeah.
Huge turnout, bench clearing brawl.
Right, nothing like a good.
That's a beauty.
And I had a few pops in me,
you were ready.
And all year they have a machine where you see how fast you can throw it, and whoever has the fastest pitch, you win. Like, I was free bungee jumping. And the funny thing is, like, with my risk analysis, I wouldn't bungee jump anyway. Like, it just, just safety first, So anyway, so I get up there with a few pops in me, and I'm heaving them in pretty good. And long story short, 7 pitches in, I had to ice the arm down when I got home. So and the worst part was I had the fastest pitch, and apparently some guy trumped me by 1 kilometer an hour. So, but I'll get him back.
So what did you hit?
Yeah, are we gonna hear
Are we gonna hear the number?
It doesn't really relevant. Is it?
It doesn't really matter. It's like going through a school zone. Probably.
It's in kilometers an hour, and it was in triple digits. I'll just say that. Okay.
Yeah,
so
wasn't.
I'm not breaking records. It's kind of like let's say Ari Dickey's changeup. How's that sound? Or Tim Wakefield's fastball.
Going through a construction zone and a school zone at the same time, kind of speed, right?
Wouldn't even have got a point. Wouldn't even have lost a point. But needless to say, the arm was I haven't felt my arm like that since that 1995 provincial championship I talk about religiously.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you're still living that glory, right?
I couldn't even raise my beer up.
Like
But
Al
I didn't
Bundy
keep
at Polk High.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. We have our first 80s/90s television reference brought to you by the guest this time.
Yeah.
I stayed out of the Golden Girls and Three's Company already, but we have our first Al Bundy reference.
Come on, that's a classic.
It is.
Yeah.
What a beautiful show that was.
So the MLB All-Star Game was last week, and I love the MLB All-Star Game. Like,
it's the only All-Star game that counts.
And
right?
it's such a production too, right? Like,
it is.
You got to put up with all the baloney. You might as well sit and watch the game. And the fact that it actually has
merit. And
the winning team gets home field advantage in the World Series. And I mean, if you're gonna do the All-Star Game, make play for keeps. Like none of this NFL fluff stuff.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the MLB baseball game, and apparently it was hosted in Cincinnati, a city that's close to my heart.
Yep.
And the day before was the charity All-Star game. And my boy Andy Dalton apparently got not only booed coming to bat, but also during introductions and when he hit the game-winning home run. So apparently people in Cincinnati don't remember the 90s.
Yep.
Because, man, the Red Rocket is a little better than we did before. So
Yeah.
with that being said, booing people at charity All-Star games is pretty awesome, right?
Yeah,
So.
I mean, and it wasn't Philadelphia, so
There you
nobody
go.
threw any batteries at him or anything, so he made it through pretty good.
Yeah.
So the night market after the game, I don't know if you guys checked it out, but we went down to the Asian food market. It was packed, which was something interesting for Lansdowne to do.
And I've always said there's nothing better than octopus mouth skewers after a football game. I've always said that.
Oh,
so
man.
finally, and that smelly tofu, I never got a chance to try it, but that was the real deal, man. And
We walked
heard
by
about it.
Yeah.
We walked by this dude who was like, he was frying an omelet with oysters in it, and like, I was pretty good on the beers on Friday night, but like, man, that Red Blacks hot dog and garlic aioli fries almost came right back up when I was watching him put that omelet together.
That
Like,
actually
eggs
sounds
and oysters, like it just
Wow.
just eggs and oysters.
Sounds delicious if you ask me.
All right.
I don't know. That's a mix mash of consistencies there.
I drank so much cheering juice that night, my heartburn was at an all-time high, so I wasn't even ready for a glass of water at that point. Like,
Yeah. But it's good that at least there's some stuff to do around the stadium now.
Yeah.
After the fact, after the game, there's bars to hang out at,
And I think the event would have been well attended regardless. But to make it available from 8 till midnight, obviously the thought was a lot of the people clearing out would participate as well. So good thinking on their part for sure.
Yeah, well, we always go for a few beers after the game as well. I mean, there's a tailgate, then there's the game, and then there's the party after. However, exactly, the post-game party, and usually it ends up somewhere down Bank Street. It could be Original Burger, Quinn's, Irene's.
Anywhere that'll
And
make an
sometimes
oyster
we'll make it down to the
omelet.
market.
yeah, anywhere they have an
It's a
oyster
big-
omelet, eh, Pete?
Perhaps.
Wraps.
Whoever
I
we
missed
ha-
them, but I mean,
whatever place we haven't been banned from yet.
Nice,
Yeah, exactly.
nice.
Well, we're just becoming friends now, so combining forces, like, this could get tragic real quick, Like, we have to kiss a lot of butts around the city here if we start
Yeah.
frequenting various establishments.
Yeah, and we tend to be a rowdier bunch after the game as well, considering you have two of us here, but we're easily maybe 20 or 30 that
Yeah.
want to go party somewhere after the game.
And it's always hard to find a spot sometimes.
I don't know if we would be defined as rowdy. I mean, I had spicy pistachios at the game. Like, they're really spicy too, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's pretty
You
badass,
sound like a
right?
risk taker to me.
He won't bungee jump, but my God, he'll throw down spicy pistachios.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You put Frank's Red Hot on everything, don't you?
I mix it with my sriracha, yeah. So, Section FF, we have the best account manager in the world. I just want to give a shout out to Kabina at OSEG. She puts up with all my baloney, lots of ticket requests, takes care of our section, and helped me purchase my ticket to the Saskatchewan road trip with the team.
What a great trip
Sorry,
that's
just
gonna
real
be,
quick,
so,
I just
yeah.
want to thank her. And any listeners have any questions, feel free to contact her at OSEG Kabina. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I'm just gonna say that Saskatchewan trip sounds glorious. I'm now jealous after you are going. And
Yeah.
it's too bad that I'm busy that weekend.
It's not sold out yet.
I know.
I'll give you a loan at 25% if you want to go.
Oh, that price point? Don't worry about that price point, son. Brush it off the shoulder, man. You know.
Start
Return the
walking
empties,
now.
pay for that, man.
I just dial her back a few this weekend. I'll be good. But no, it's good on you and enjoy it. And
Yeah, it's cool. My dad and I are going to be going together, and aside from sports trips as a kid, him and I have never really done something like this together without my mom there or the family. So it'll be really cool for him and I to do this together, and hopefully I can get a set of headphones on and we can do a podcast in the lobby hotel. So
amazing.
That'd be sweet.
yeah. So
Yeah.
just what you need, two of me on one show, right? Head up. The editing will be awesome. Yeah.
Well, it's great to hear that I'm glad to hear that you're going down to Saskatchewan, considering that they like to make the trip to Ottawa quite a bit.
Yes.
I guess there's more to do around here, so they make a nice little trip out of it, probably visiting Parliament Hill and other things.
That's right. Well, by the sounds of it, I won't get much of a chance to see too much. I think the charter goes down, and then you have a dinner, and I mean, I'm sure I'll go out that night.
But there's nothing to see in Saskatchewan other than a stadium.
Well, I mean, there's got to be something, right? Like
Lots of fields of
A
wheat.
Legion.
I love
It's probably a Legion you can
watermelons.
go to.
I love legions and watermelons and
There you
fields. Just not. Yeah. Just let me do the risk analysis first. Fields are safe, right?
Absolutely.
Barbed wire on a snowmobile, though? As long as I'm not in a snowmobile. Yeah, shout out to Jim Watson. What's up?
There you go.
So Ottawa's an awesome place in the summer. I just love all the stuff going on at Lansdowne. I love the restaurants. All-day breakfast is okay with
just
me.
rocking.
I'm just loving our nation, having you boys here.
Amazing.
This football
Thank you.
team.
Yeah, thanks for
everything
having us.
everything that's come together. We're gonna do a little game recap. You guys want to stick around for that? That'd be great. Shoot the breeze about last week's game.
We always got that great segment coming up. Santino. Let's ask you about Santino. You guys know Santino.
Sure.
You do?
Well, I know him just from all the work that he does for the team, right? And I
Exactly.
read his articles, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Isn't he
know,
awesome?
The detail he gets into from being in Brazil is absolutely astounding.
He's one passionate dude, and I
Yeah.
feel like we're blessed to have him involved in the show.
And it was just a total coincidence that he and I had met at that first QB club. And if it wasn't for my weird, I always say transgender sounding voice, he wouldn't have recognized it.
That's right.
Thanks DNA.
Yep.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, you hit those high notes, don't you?
Oh, I'm a soprano for sure.
Yeah,
take that for how you will.
With that, Santino's up next, of course, with his awesome rant. He couldn't really stay on track, as he was telling me earlier today via text, but he blasts away this week with a shotgun, and everyone gets a piece of shrapnel. Editorials in the Ottawa Sun, you Burris haters, you're all going to hear about it next. Have a listen, and always send us your thoughts on Twitter at BleedRedBlacks. Santino's up next, and we'll get to the game recap with the two lads from the SouthSiders up next.
Let's do it. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. Check us out on Twitter at BleedRedBlacks and on Facebook at facebook.com/BleedRedBlacks podcast.
Live from Brazil, here's the Red Black Renegade rant with Santino Filoso.
Are you ready?
Do you really need to tell me that a 5'0" wide receiver is worth $40,000 more than Chad Owens?
We'll do it live.
If the helmets weren't ready this week, they should have pushed their introduction back.
It has begun.
Ottawa Senator fans have a reputation for being bandwagon fans. I hate to admit it, but I can't deny it since I've grown up among them and witnessed it firsthand. Sens fans are fickle fans. When the team wins, they're world beaters. When they lose, everyone is terrible and should be fired. When the CFL came back to town, I really hoped that kind of roller coaster attitude wouldn't define Red Blacks fans too, especially considering that the team would be an expansion team and would naturally have growing pains. Unfortunately, I was disappointed, and while last season people were generally understanding and patient, this season has seen many members of our nation reach a new low. There's few places more negative on the internet than the Our Nation Facebook group following a loss. After their 2-0 start, some members of the group were nearly planning a Grey Cup parade, but following back-to-back losses to the Edmonton Eskimos, people are now clamoring for Burris to be replaced, Rick Campbell to be fired, and just shitting on the team in general. While every fan has the right to complain about their team when it loses, it's as if some people get a sick enjoyment bitching about a loss. The vitriol spewed by some fans is appalling. Does the team have issues? Yes. Are we the worst team in the league and bound to lose forever? No. Our first loss to the Eskimos was an undeniable ass-kicking, but it was A, their season opener. B, they were fueled by wanting to show that Mike Riley's injury didn't mean their season was over. C, they were coming off a bye week and had 11 days to prepare to R3. And D, this Eskimo team nearly went to the Grey Cup last year, remember? In Friday's rubber match, though we lost, there were a ton of positives. Chris Williams and Brad Sinopoli looked good, the secondary played fantastic, forcing 3 red zone turnovers, and Zach Evans dominated again. While many fans are quick to lay the loss on Burris, the simple fact is that we gave up over 150 yards rushing and Walker ran for 21 on 11 carries. End of story. Burris completed 74 of his passes against probably the best defense in the league, and yet some vocal members of our nation think he should be benched or that he's washed up. Problem with that is that it ignores that just 3 weeks ago, he was 23 of 29 for 296 yards and 3 TDs. Do you think he suddenly forgot how to play QB? Or is it more likely that without a running game to balance the offense, the Eskimos' fearsome defensive line was able to pin their ears back and force them into checkdowns and bad throws? The point of this slightly rambling rant is that Ottawa isn't a bad football team, and our nation needs to remember that it's easy to cheer for a team when it's winning, but true fans accept growing pains. Come on, guys, look at the positives and realize that we were never going undefeated. Plus, Ottawa still hasn't lost to a team from the East, or actually, any team not named the Edmonton Eskimos. Lastly, I can't finish this rant without mentioning the incredibly stupid, reactionary editorial from the worst newspaper in Ottawa. I'm not even going to name them because I don't want to give them any extra publicity, but their editorial was on the fact that the Red Black sellout streak came to an end at 10 games last Friday night. Did the editorial congratulate our nation on this amazing feat? No. Instead, the anonymously written editorial took the angle that because only 21,000 fans showed up, the team's future might be in doubt. There's so many reasons to tear the editorial apart, but the most basic fact is that the monsoon rain kept the walk-up crowd away, and the tragically hip, always a big draw, were playing at Blues Fest. Some games won't be sellouts, but the Red Blacks have arguably the best attendance in the league and solid local ownership. So to call our fans out for not selling out a single game or to compare the Red Blacks to the Renegades or Rough Riders is pathetic. Anyway, that's all for this week, guys. Rant back at Red Black Gade, and remember to bleed Red Blacks.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. Check us out at bleedredblacks.ca for blogs, photos, and podcast archives. Game recap. So last Friday we all headed down to our favorite stadium, TD Place, and it felt weird. Like it kind of felt like it was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I mean, I think it's time to turn up the Wild Stallions because obviously something had happened, and we were back in time, man. Like Slash had just played Blues Fest. The Fury were setting attendance records. Jason Spezza just sold his $1.7 million house. And Doug Ford is defending his family name, and the Red Blacks were leaning on their young defense, and their offense couldn't move the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I had to get slapped. Like, this was 2014 all over again, and I got to be honest with you, I wasn't ready for it. And with this all-star wide receiver crew that we got, I don't think I want to put up with this all
23
year.
to 12. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a quick take from Pete before he's got to slide out of here.
Yep.
We spent an hour on the intro, which was good. But Pete, just before you go, just a quick. Let's get the. I know we just had the Santino rant, but let's get the Pete rant, and then we'll be able to say our farewells to you on air here.
Well, I don't know if it's much of a rant. I've been ranting since Friday.
He's ranted out.
Take a deep breath, Pete.
And I still feel hungover, and I really didn't have more than a few beers. It was just
get her out.
Just let it out. You're amongst friends here.
Yeah.
Exercise your demons.
We got a producer here. He can just cut out if you go too offside.
It was
freewheel.
It was just really rough to take. I mean, I think our first down of the game was on our fifth offensive possession. It seems that we can run the ball, and that just really took all the energy out of the offense, it seemed. And we just kept on handing the ball off, and if we were lucky, we got 2 yards on the handoff. Yeah. It just seemed, well, you know what? Let's try something different. And we just stuck with it, and it didn't seem to work. And, I mean, we were loyal to that game plan, but sooner or later, you're going to figure out, let's try something different.
Yeah.
Now, the one positive on offense, I must say, I thought was Chris Williams. He caught a few passes for the first few first downs, and the best play that we had was when he just skedaddled his way into another first down, and I thought, well, you know what? He was impressive. Some people would say, well, on the punt returns, he didn't do much. Well, again, it was a rainy, sloppy game.
Night, yep.
Yeah. So let's not put it all on Chris Williams. I thought he was our star on offense, if any.
Yep.
Right.
So you're gonna expect a little bit more out of them this Friday. Hopefully the weather stays crisp and awesome for a nice Friday night game. So
and I'm gonna make damn sure to be down there with you boys at your little tailgate party this Friday for sure.
I really hope you do.
I hope we get a good turnout.
I will be for sure. I've gone once now. That's it. I'm going every time.
I'm gonna be canceling my golf round this Friday just so I can go hang it with you boys.
Nice.
Hey, the earlier the better. It starts as soon as you wake up.
Yeah. Nice. So Pete, you got a tour, and we can continue. Is it okay if Clint stays here?
Yeah, absolutely. Clint can stay. I just can't stomach more of that game that just happened.
This is honest.
I just had a hard time, and Clint knows it. I get upset after a loss. I get pissed off during the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm cheering or I'm really pissed off. It's
one or the other.
So more true like a true SouthSider, I must say.
Yeah.
Is that there's always a major reaction after a play.
Yeah.
And when you see a lot of awful plays,
you
tend to get pissed off. So
it's a range
let's
of
keep
emotions.
it at that.
All right,
cool.
Sir.
Thanks a lot,
All right,
Peter.
Thanks for coming in, and
go Red Blacks.
And
hopefully we'll beat Calgary on Friday.
Hopefully we will.
Thank you, sir.
Cheers.
All right. He's going to let himself out. That's how we do it here at the studio. Look both ways before you cross the busy street out there. Thanks, Pete.
See you, bud.
So great being back in the stadium again, though, for sure. I mean, it was a soggy night for most.
Yeah, rain.
But once again, there was a great vibe at TD Place, and it was our tackle hunger game. I didn't hear how we did, but I know I brought my couple bags of stuff.
Yeah, I think it was 22.
No, I heard two different reports. It was
Okay.
like just over 30,000 pounds, and then I saw one that was like 44.
Okay,
so I don't
so
know which one
it's
to
still-
believe.
It's the
good,
whole
but we-
weekend, right?
There's a
It
lot of food.
Counted the Fury game as well on Sunday. So
Okay,
hopefully,
that's
yeah.
probably the
Okay,
difference
well,
then.
one cool thing was you could get your picture taken with the Grey Cup if you do donate. Now, to be honest, I don't do that. It spooks me out to be seen with any trophy that my team didn't win or hasn't won. So, as same with like a hockey team, a football team, NFL team, whatever. I just don't do it. I mean, I think it's great if people do go out and get their photo taken with the cup. But for me, it's like getting a selfie taken with a supermodel at a book signing. Like, it's like, it's not your supermodel.
Exactly.
And why are you getting your book signed by a model?
Yeah, it's not. It's a little different.
It's not like she's just going to come for a sleepover, right? Or anyways,
Very true.
I just can't do it. But I think it's great for those of you who love it and big, longtime CFL fans. It's definitely a big moment for them to be with that.
And
cup.
it's exciting for the kids too.
Absolutely, yeah. Just to see that cup,
Yeah.
it's an impressive trophy
It
for
is.
sure. And when I'm drinking champagne out of it at the parade in 3 years, I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, and Pete mentioned it a little bit as we get into the game a little bit more here. It does take our offense a little bit longer to click, and that's been like just a. Yeah, it's like the keys of the game. Like they have to find a way to get the rhythm early, and seeing Henry not find that with whether I don't know if it's just off with the receivers or it's just I know it was a sloppy game, but it's not like it hasn't been like that since game one.
Yeah.
Week one. So.
Well, I mean, he almost threw. And we talked about it last week. Keys of the game, protect the ball early and no early picks.
Yep.
And he had done that in the 3 previous games, and he very well could have done it in last Friday's game as well. Luckily, the ball. I don't know it's because it was rainy or conditions, but he didn't wind up throwing that early pick. But protecting the ball is so huge. I mean, we need to get it in the hands of these skilled guys. And
what's your take on that early safety, Clint? Like that was a little strange. Like we were trying to wrap our heads around it's a game of field possession.
Yeah,
but
I can understand how they would want the better field position after taking the safety, and maybe their thought was that it was so early in the game. Why not just give up these couple of points? We'll have the rest of the game to build it up.
It's just tough for me to swallow. I don't want to be results oriented, but it's tough for me to swallow with the next punt, and then they have a huge return, and they're pretty much right back to where they started anyway, except with a few more points on the board. Like, I'm not a coach, obviously, but I have a lot of faith in our defense, and I think even if they come away with a field goal after a defensive stop, the momentum you get from that is huge. And
for sure.
I think it's got to deflate the defense a little bit when you see them conceding those points.
And the game the kicker had, I mean, he was 5 for 5, right? So
Yeah.
it wasn't like he's a pretty good kicker.
Yeah.
But he
He
has
did
been
very
known
well.
to shank the short ones.
So
I mean, a kick is still a kick. There's a lot of variables in there, and on a night where it's rainy and sloppy, anything can happen in that whole process. And I think you got to force him to make the points. I don't like giving away easy points, but like I said, I'm no coach. But
speaking of easy points, we have a lot of easy yards too, especially that running game. I talk about.
Oh my God!
And you got him on your fantasy team thanks to
Andrew from the Eskimos podcast.
little inside info.
We had
there.
a little chat after my visit on his show there a few weeks ago, and he told me about this guy in the practice roster who he thought was going to be the next star, and I picked him up, and Mr. Shakir Bell sure looked damn good last week. So 18 rushes, 144 yards, and the story of the game was missed tackles, and the story of the game was missed Shakir Bell tackles, and he's a tiny little dude. I don't have his numbers here, but I mean he's one of those small water bug runners, and you can't try to lay out guys like that.
Yeah.
Our secondary had a game. The secondary had a great game with 3 interceptions,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like if that front line would have been, half decent.
Yeah.
I'm not that I'm throwing them all under the proverbial bus, but that front line and those defensive backs could have made some better tackles. Then maybe it would have been a different game.
I had a thought on that.
Yep.
The gloves, the catcher's ball hawk gloves.
Yes.
If they get wet, you might as well have slime on your hands. So I was curious if they were all wearing the ball hawk gloves, and they're soaking wet.
Okay.
You can't grab anything.
Yeah.
Like I wear them to the games, and I can't hold on to a beer can because it gets wet and it slides out of your hand.
That ain't right. That's the problem right there.
So it's basically a fashion thing where
Curious.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no. Maybe there's a parody account that keeps chirping us called Gloves. So maybe we should ask him your Gloves Twitter account.
I told him today,
Did you?
Stickum rules.
Okay.
It was banned since 1981
That's
because
right, eh?
it dominates and it comes in, a spray, a stick, and a powder. So sorry, Gloves, but you got
I
Trump,
couldn't believe
son.
I got chirped by some sort of.
It's about time we got chirped, right?
Yeah. No. Well, hey now.
It wouldn't be the first time.
No. It's been fun. Twitter is a fun animal, right? Social media.
So good on those defensive backs, Jarrell Gavins, Javon Johnson, and B Mac and Cheese for getting those timely interceptions. And Mike, I know you're a big fan of these boys, and I can see why.
Oh, I love the secondary. Like I like all their characters, and I think I just love defense. I could watch a defensive game all day, but that when they get into that secondary and just they were so pumped up. Like BMAC on social media was so pumped up about that interception, and that's a team that you can see that they're starting to gel a little bit. It looks like it from the outside in. So if that continues, I've said it before, this is going to be a good year for us. We keep these boys around for another season. I think we're on our way to some solid years of football. Look at these guys. B-Mac has got 1 year. Is this his second year of CFL?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Gavins is new, and Kane is new, and I mean Javon Johnson's a leader, but
Kane, I can't say enough about this kid. He just continues to impress, and I say a kid, but he's a giant.
Yeah, and they had an awesome game.
Yep.
They got burned on one costly play, 63-yard reception to Kendall Lawrence in the pouring rain, kind of near the end of the game. But our DBs did an amazing job matching up against a fast and strong Eskimos wide receiver core, and I was really encouraged by their effort. I mean, the highlight reel catch by Adarius Bowman, no one else is going to catch that ball aside from him, and he definitely showed, the nation watching why this guy's been dominating the league the last year and a bit.
Scary player.
Yeah.
And he's a difference maker on that Edmonton Eskimos team, so... We got to find, and I know who our difference maker is. We can talk about Brant Sinopoli. I don't know if we're going to move into him yet next, but when you think about difference makers in the game that we have, he's one of them. And the wide receiver core that we're building.
What I like about Sinopoli is he's not surprising anybody anymore, yet he's still delivering. Week one or the big week two effort, I get it. I don't know if people really had him on the radar, but even with that being said, he still went 5 receptions for 53 yards last game, showed some toughness, and got a few yaks, which we need desperately.
Breaking tackles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in my game preview next week, I am considering why not let him run the ball a few times. He can break a few tackles, right?
And he can hang on to the ball.
Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't given up a fumble yet this year, obviously, but he's we talked about it in a previous podcast, but he knows how to take a tackle. That was something that
my dad picked up on that. He gets hit like a quarterback.
Yeah, he finds that shoulder onto the ground easily, and awesome. Can't say enough about that guy.
So two fumbles lost by our special teams, and now that Pete's gone, we can talk about Chris Williams. So the fumble by him and Sanders, we're both terrible timing plays, and it's unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. The conditions, regardless of the conditions. On a night where it is so brutal and the offense is struggling, I mean, protecting the ball is imperative. And if you got to have 2 hands on the ball, like a glazed ham, you got to do what you got to do.
Give it the Zach Evans baby grab.
That's right.
Exactly.
Hold on to it like it's your baby.
Yeah. So
and we talked. Where was Mo? Mo Price. Where were you?
No, Mo.
He was invisible.
He was invisible, and I heard some rumblings that he wasn't. I wasn't able to catch this, but his route running was.
He wasn't able to catch it either.
So. Yeah. Whoa.
Sorry.
But 2 receptions, 14 yards, and it didn't seem like him and Henry were on the same page.
Because Henry tried to stretch him out a few times early.
He did.
And like a big toss early on in the game that would have just been a huge momentum shift, but it wasn't even close, to be honest. So my brother-in-law's first game at TD Place, he's been a CFL fan for a while, but he hasn't been to a game, and his only comment was, Edmonton sure doesn't have any trouble finding open receivers. Why does Ottawa have so much difficulty? And that's just a basic comment from a guy that knows football, but just had, and that's about as honest as a comment as you could make, right?
Because that's how we felt.
And I didn't know the answer to him. And he's like, come on, you do a podcast. What's going on? And I don't know the answers. And if I did, I'd be down on the sideline. But what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I go back to just that smothering defense that Edmonton can bring to the ball. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but they are leading the league in least amount of points allowed. So they're doing something right on defense.
They're still the top-rated defense in the league as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and part of that is that secondary coverage is tight.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You can't game plan. I mean, they had an extra week to game plan, but you can't game plan pouring rain and route running. You have to kind of, you got to make some adjustments. And I think that's part of this team growing as a team together. This is a team that has to learn how to make adjustments a little easier between quarters, between halves. That's my honest feeling about this team is make those adjustments, get the ball away from the middle of the field when it comes to running, get Chevon Walker into some of these screen passes that we're seeing the rest of the NFL. Sorry, it was a Freudian slip. The rest of the CFL will be able to handle. I know I just lost my membership to the
SouthSiders.
everything, Southside, everything.
Well, it's been fun doing the podcast.
Yeah, I've got to shut it down now. I made one more NFL reference and I'm done.
See you in Pittsburgh.
Your fandom's been revoked.
Classic. It's classic. But you see my point. You get the screen pass that, and we're going to talk about it coming up with Calgary. There's a team that has no problem understanding how to utilize a big back in, I just lost his name.
Cornish,
thanks, John Cornish. I'm totally rattled.
Some Canadian guy.
Some former NFL player. No, kidding.
Best running back in the NFL. Best Canadian. Yeah.
But no, and they kind of utilize that, and I think that's something we got to work towards.
So what are we gonna do with the Chev? I mean, it's tough to watch him struggling like this, and we put so much emphasis on our O-line going into the season, into this off season, and I feel like. More specifically, protecting Henry. That was pretty much the name of the game. And are these who is to blame? Is the O-line? I mean, or is Edmonton's defensive line just that much better? I mean, I think this game this Friday against Calgary is really going to tell the tale, and it will also detail these adjustments you speak of.
Let's ask Clint. What do you think of Nick Grisby? I mean, that's been bounced around on social media like he's the answer.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of talk about him in the...
Because there's positive things and there's negative things.
Yeah, we hear about the negative inside the dressing room.
I know he likes to party, too. And I don't think that's the kind of team that we've put together here.
No.
I mean, judging by majority of their Twitter accounts anyway, I'll just say that. I don't think there's too many late-night rendezvous happening. And I think Grigsby, he's just not that pounding back that we need right now. Like, we already have our dancer,
I'd like to see our other backs get a couple more reps to see if they can just pound it through. Personally, I like how Jock Sanders has been playing.
Sure, yeah.
Both in kickoff returns and when he's behind the line.
Yeah.
It's straightforward. Just get it through the line for him.
He's played a lot of football. I mean, he's been around. He knows the league, and he knows what's going on. I would even like to see John Lajoie. There's a slip for you. I was just watching the league last night. No taco. I would like to see John Lavoie get handoffs all day long.
Maybe
he's back now.
You got to find a bruising.
Pound it, sure. I mean, if we're only getting 2 or 3 yards anyway, we might as well get 2 or 3 tough yards that make people hurt. Wear them down a little bit.
There's got to be a way to fix that front line so they can create holes, because that's a big talk about on social media amongst fans. Look, Chev can't find a hole.
Is it a hole issue or is it a Chevy issue? That's the question.
I know.
I know he likes to be pretty.
Yeah.
But it's hard for us to envision what he's seeing from the sidelines.
Do you think he moves around too much in the backfield before he tries to find a split there? There's a little bit.
There seems to be
it appears that way.
Some apprehension to commit when he does make his cut. But I mean, part of what made him successful is the ability to do the 2 or 3 or 4 cuts. So I don't know. I mean, I hope that we can sort it out. There's got to be some middle ground as far as protecting the quarterback and committing to the run game. And I think we'll get there. I'm confident that Chu and Moss can sort this out.
We got the guys to do that.
They got the chemistry. Sure. And give these guys a little more time to sort themselves out, and I think our running game will.
And I guarantee you the coaches are letting the players know about it, too.
Yes,
absolutely.
Watching them at practice and scrimmage.
Yeah,
They're not shy to yell at the players.
No, I know. That's what I like. Kicking and punting continues to impress. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Even in that crazy rain, our guy Delbert Alvarado, 2 for 2 on field goals, and cue that music
That's right.
that we're talking to the Lumber Joes about.
And more homework for producer Mark, see if he's paying attention right
Yeah.
now. I think he's working on some homework in there. Or something.
Good on him for being able to kick in the rain though.
Mm-hmm.
And but punting hasn't been that much of an issue this year either. I think we're getting what we need out of Anthony Alex.
Yeah.
He's been consistent. We know that he could be a little bit longer though. We were talking about stats. We like stats here.
Stats time. Let's do it.
His average right now is 43.3 yards per kick, while the 12 punters in the CFL currently average 45.4 yards per kick. And you made this point about Toronto, Colin. Mr.
Swayze Waters leads the league with an average of 50.3 yards. Now I know he's a beast.
Does he ever have a leg on him? Like, that's insane.
leg.
So I think Alex is doing a great job. Not bad for a kid from Mont Tremblant, you know. No ski racing for that boy.
Just want to make a quick point too. Is Patrick Swayze? Look at that.
We're on fire today.
On fire tonight.
This is great.
Next will be Dirty Dancing.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
Moly.
Oh, man.
But he hasn't even gotten home yet to kick in the dome. So he's been doing all this on the road at 50 yards. So wait till he gets down to BMO Sky Dome.
the Rogers Center.
Yes, the Catelli's
Santa
Sky Dome.
Catelli. No, it's the Primo Pasta, isn't it? Oh, that's Barignani. Sorry, I'm getting all my references screwed up here.
Look at us.
No more flashback games moving forward, okay?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to make reference to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure again. I'm pretty sure the bit failed. Maybe Mark can soup it up and make it funny. Or Mark, we missed your canned laughter, buddy. Like, my jokes live and die with you, dude. Open those doors up or something.
All I heard was crickets when you were talking.
In my mind, it was funny.
No wonder Pete left, for crying out loud.
Okay.
Like, I don't get beat on here.
Well,
like,
whatever, dad jeans. Anyways, I expect us to. Oh man, we're gonna have to cut this out.
Off the rails.
I expect us to win every game.
Absolutely.
When we only give up 23 points.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. I mean, in this league, you have to be able to win those games, and we need to find a way to win these games. Our defense is keeping us in it.
Mm-hmm.
Protect the ball, move the ball, and hopefully change the verbiage from poor Mr. Henry Burris, who's taking a beating like my Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure joke.
Yeah.
Hey, look, he laughed.
Yeah,
nice.
there we go. Done.
Yeah, it was a long joke, right? The long con.
It's a long con.
I got him. Yeah.
Henry Burris, though, speaking, he 21 yards rushing on 4 attempts. Chev Walker, 11 attempts, 21 yards. And Henry Burris had a long of a 10-yard, which he got a first down on that scramble, which was amazing. Kept the play going. And Walker's longest run was for 6 yards. I'm just going to leave it at that. I want everybody to stop tweeting Jonathan Williams and asking him what he's up to. He's probably reading about us in the paper anyway. So
yeah, that's right.
So just we can
catching up on his old Baines articles.
Yeah, seeing what Timothy has to say about him. Not a lot of stats. There's not a lot to talk about. We did have the ball did get spread around enough when it came to passing, but it just left us with, it didn't leave us with enough field position and moving the ball enough. It just wasn't strung together. And it goes back to that, we can't get the ball moving in those first few series. And I think that's where we're missing it. Going back to Williams, he had seven receptions for 90 yards. He had the longest reception at 30 yards for us. And that was a great catch and dangle. So, again, Sinopoli doing his thing. We talked about it. Longest catch for 20 yards, and he had a 53-yard night.
Yeah.
Just and they did pass the ball. I mean,
the name below him, we've been mentioned that a few times the last few games, but I mean, if that's the way we need to get Chev the ball.
Yeah. 7 receptions, 41 yards, 22 for a long, and I think that plays into it. I mean, he touched the ball 18 times that game. Yeah. So he was getting enough action to see where he's at with this squad. So. I don't know. I'm with Clint. It might be time to switch it up a little bit and see what else is out there. But that's just me.
I mean, I think the Chev deserves a little more slack. We only played 4 games. 1 game he was awesome. A few off nights. A weird home and home with a Western powerhouse. Let's just see what they got. At least give the guys some time and let's be supportive of the whole offense and keep the verbiage to more productive stuff on social media, and especially on Our Nation, instead of clogging it up with
nonsense.
Nick Grigsby gossip.
But and show favorite and Our Nation favorite, Hopkins was back in the lineup, 4 tackles, and that goes to show you he was up front making sure people weren't dancing around and getting extra yardage. Justin Capasati with 5 tackles, so him back in there too makes a difference. A guy I want to see a little bit more out of is Keith Sholigan. I think that he's been kind of quiet. He's actually was quiet last year as well. I don't want to. Excuse me. I don't know. I feel like a homer. I feel like, sometimes I'm like these defensive boys, like they're my guys. Like honestly, I feel like that sometimes, and I want to bite on Sholigan a little bit and say, look, let's see what you can do. But he's out there, he's doing his part, but you want to see it in stats too. You want to see those tackles up there and kind of mimicking what Hopkins is doing. So
I was impressed with Munoz's play. He had 5 tackles and 1 huge special teams tackle.
Is he a stud or what?
I think
I like him.
He's really surprising us, and he's having a great year, and I really like that guy.
Did we get any inside information on our friend that showed up at the tailgate?
Travis?
Yeah. Travis
says
Brown.
he's feeling good.
Good.
He's not exactly sure when he's going to be back, but he looks to be in good health.
Yeah, big lad.
Yeah, he's a big boy. Super, super cool guy.
Yeah, it was nice to hang out with him, and that's just amazing that kind of stuff happens.
Any guy that'll go and rent a canoe at Dow's Lake and go, like, that's just cool. Like, totally being part of his community, like that's what you do if you live downtown. If you need a little nature action, you go and rent your canoe, and I think that's great. He's embracing it, and he's a great guy, and it doesn't surprise me at all that he showed up to support you guys.
I know he's a big fisherman guy too, so maybe he was scoping the canal to see where's the hot spots.
Which carp have eaten the least amount of cigarette butts?
Just don't take anything home and cook it up, T. Brown.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't stop. I see dudes down there with buckets all the time, so heads up next time you have a carp cake somewhere.
Nothing like eel.
Nothing like eel. I know. I'm always worried buying sushi in Chinatown, but that's another. That's for another episode of Bleed Red Blacks. I think that's just about wraps up our game recap. And I just, before I get into around the CFL and letting everybody know what Janin's been up to, I just want to thank Pete, who has toured, but Clint for just doing this and just coming in and being part of what we do. And this. That's just, for me, what we're doing right now is kind of why I'm really enjoying doing this podcast. Is it's all about meeting other fans, and as Colin and I like to say, our names will be on those seats in 20 years, and we're gonna grow old with a couple of you lads, and hopefully have a couple of ripping Grey Cup parades up and down Bank Street to Rochester, down through Hintonburg. Pointing to people I know live in those neighborhoods, and it'd just be great. So, and
I think it's great for you guys to come in talking about the SouthSiders. I knew there was a history, but to me, it said it all to me that describing the way that you were kind of embraced into the community, like you said, a guy that went to a team function by yourself, and they really took you under their wing. I think that's awesome, and what a great bunch of guys. And unfortunately, we're not gonna be SouthSiders, but we'll definitely we'll definitely participate and support and be there, at all the parties for sure. And Section FF, we'll keep it real. But it's just great. You guys are doing an awesome thing over there, and I think that as far as fan groups go, you guys deserve a lot of credit.
Thank you. As long as you keep it loud on the north side, things are good.
There you go, sir.
Yeah, we're doing our part.
We got you outnumbered here 3-1 right now. And I'm pretty sure you can hold your own, but we got about 7 Bills sitting on the other side of the table here. But
I love it. Around the CFL this week, of course, I always enjoy this segment because I am watching a lot of games this year, more than I did last year, definitely, because I finally figured out how to watch games on my iPad, which is amazing. So going to hashtag ATCFL, Joe commented on Twitter because we were asking for some feedback, and I thought we could talk about this quickly before we get into around the CFL. To paraphrase Joe from Twitter, he said, quote, let players show emotion. Asking for a flag brings a flag. End quote, kind of a paraphrase. And when he's talking about players that are asking for a flag after the ball's being tossed, how do you feel about this one? I kind of agree on his take. There can be some disagreement, and I don't think it's taking away too much from the game. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think there's a lot of respect issues or lack thereof in regards to players to referees in this league that we don't see in other leagues. And to use MLB for an example, players know they can argue with an umpire, but they can't argue a specific ball or strike. I mean, and I think that these players need to know. It's kind of gray right now.
It is.
And I think once they've really hammered this out as years move on and it becomes more of a cultural thing, it should be a little easier, a little more palatable, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, other sports, you can't get up in refs' faces, and I think our refs need that same respect. And sure, it might be seem a little strict or whatever you want to say, but I mean, you gotta draw the line somewhere.
How do you feel about the penalties this year, Clint?
Well, with how the refereeing has been so far this season, I wish the players would just realize that it is what it is.
Yeah.
If they saw something, don't try and do the throw flag motion because you're just going to get called. Just move on.
Yeah.
Get back because it's not worth possibly taking a penalty.
And I think it could be almost reactionary, It's kind of like if you get tripped in hockey, first thing you do is look back at the ref for a tripping penalty, right?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of same thing. So
that's a league now that they give penalties to 2 people, one for the trip and one for the fake trip, which is right up there with illegal interference in the CFL.
That's a new one, yeah.
It's the Department of Redundancy. It's definitely like just I don't get it.
Illegal interference, I love it.
Yeah. We'll just thanks for that. Don't forget to reach out to us at BleedRedBlacks and give us the old hashtag ATCFL. And if you have a comment or question as we reach this segment, we'll take a look at it. But as usual, this week Janine does an awesome job talking about the rest of the CFL, which this week was tackled penalties. She talks about the short week and of course Cato and Montreal and with all things CFL. So let's take a listen to that one more time. Thanks, Clint, for joining us, and we'll see everybody in the game preview.
Sounds good.
Hey guys, for Instagram photos, check us out at BleedRedBlacks. For game day photos, tailgate photos, and photos of whatever, come check us out at BleedRedBlacks.
Dude, isn't she a Bombers fan?
Let me laugh even harder.
But for the love of God, please start hook sliding.
Dude, whatever. She's an Ottawa fan too.
Did Buck Pierce's constant injuries not teach you guys anything?
Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Enough ranting, on to the games.
Really? Righteous. Welcome to Around the CFL with Jin on the Bleed Red Blacks podcast.
Week 4 started off on a beautiful Thursday night in Montreal with the Hamilton Tiger Cats paying the Alouettes a visit after coming off a bye week. Bye weeks are supposed to be a good break for a team, a chance to rest, work out some kinks, and come back refreshed. But early in the season, a bye week can be a real momentum killer, and that was definitely the case for Hamilton on Thursday night. Tiger Cats are being lauded as the team to beat in the CFL, but it really didn't look that way on Thursday. Problem number 1, penalties. 16 of them for 112 yards. Now, to be fair, the Owls were no saints, earning 13 flags of their own for 100 yards. In fact, this game generated even more chatter about reffing than usual on social media because it seemed like a flag, or 6, was thrown on almost every play. But there were no flagrantly bad calls, just players making technical mistakes and bad decisions. Problem number 2 for Hamilton, Brendan Banks was completely contained by the Owls' special teams, helped enormously by some well-placed kicks from rookie kicker Boris Beattie. And problem number 3, Zach Caleros had an uncharacteristically bad game. While he was only 4 yards shy of 300 passing, completing 27 of 42 passes, he was sacked 3 times, had only 1 touchdown, and threw 3 interceptions. Maybe he was shaken up on that third quarter hit that had him come off the field so the trainers could work on his neck. But a sputtering Hamilton offense was no match against the Montreal defense, even without Bear Woods, who may be gone for the season with a torn pectoral muscle. Montreal's offense, on the other hand, put points on the board in every quarter. Rakeem Cato got his 3rd start, and after a bit of a rough go in Winnipeg last week, he looked good, throwing 23 of 34 for 264 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. S.J. Green made some typically outstanding catches, 5 for 56 yards, including an incredible touchdown. And Fred Stamps, the one-day Hall of Famer who wasn't much used by Edmonton last season and who was off to a bit of a slow start this season with Montreal, became Cato's target of choice with 7 catches for 119 yards. It was really nice to see some chemistry develop between Cato and Stamps, and great to see Stamps play like the 1,000-plus yard receiver that he has been. Final score score in this one, 17-13 for the Alouettes. They will have to try to keep this momentum going after a bye week of their own in week 5. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, who still haven't had a home game because of the Pan Am games, will travel to Saskatchewan to take on the Riders. Immediately following the Ottawa-Edmonton game on Friday night, the BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders took to the field at Mosaic Stadium for another game in the rain. Off the field in Regina last week, Corey Chamberlain made some noise when he told the media that he really doesn't care if fans are mad at him for the Riders' slow start, that he'll keep doing his job as head coach until he's told not to, and that if he is asked to leave, he's not exactly worried about a lengthy job search. Jerome Messam promised fans that the team will win their next 4 games and go into their bye week above 500. But to do this, they need more from the guys on the depth chart who are standing in for multiple injured players, particularly on defense, which has so far been consistent only in its ability to let go of late fourth quarter leads. In Friday night's matchup, giving up a lead wasn't really the problem, because the Riders never had one. BC scored on their opening drive with a touchdown pass from Travis Lulay to AC Leonard. They opened their second half with an opening drive touchdown from Andrew Harris, and they added a third touchdown in the fourth quarter, again to AC Leonard. Travis Lulay had an okay night passing, going 12 for 21 and 127 yards with 2 touchdowns. But who needs to pass the ball when you can rush it for 105 yards? It's taken Lulay a few games to work back up to his mobile self, but it paid off, and it will continue to pay off, because when he runs, he is dangerous and he can't be contained. On the other side of the field, penalties certainly aren't helping the Riders as they continue to rack them up. This game, 14 for 159 yards. Kevin Glenn keeps on putting up solid yardage, throwing this time for 360 and completing 24 of 39 pass attempts, including a touchdown to Chris Getzlaff. But all game, he was chasing the Lions. Despite getting close, Saskatchewan couldn't mount a late game comeback a la BC Lions last week. They fall to BC in front of the home crowd with a final score of 27-24, and they are now 0-4 on the season, which has some of the Rider fans in my Twitter feed a little more quiet than usual. Chamberlain will have to try to stop this bleeding as he gets his team ready for what I suspect will be a high penalty affair against the Hamilton Tiger Cats next week. And the BC Lions, who seem to be getting stronger with each game, head home to meet the Toronto Argonauts. The final game of week 4 was a good one as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers headed west to meet the Calgary Stampeders at McMahon. During their last outing, the Stamps sustained a couple of key injuries to their O-line, and they continued to rack these injuries up in this game as more players went down. So I can be forgiven for thinking that the Bombers were going to pull off this win, especially after getting off to such a quick start with a 75-yard touchdown toss from Drew Willie to Clarence Denmark on Winnipeg's first drive of the game. Willie had a stellar game, 22 of 27 for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns, proving that when he is healthy and when he has an O-line, he can make things happen. His only interception came in the dying seconds of the game as he was trying to march his team into field goal position for the win. The Bombers wouldn't have been in this position had they got a better night out of kicker Liram Harulahu. After his breakout rookie season last year, he's inconsistent at best this season. On Saturday night, he went 1 for 3 on field goal attempts. Leaving these 6 points on the field made the difference in this game. In every other way, the Bombers dominated, but those Stampeders, despite having worse stats in almost every category, they hung in there. Bo Levi Mitchell is still not putting up the numbers that we're used to seeing from him, going only 12 of 21 for 165 yards and a touchdown. But this game, John Cornish was finally able to break 100 yards, 15 carries for 120. His new O-line was able to create enough room for him to do what he does best. And so despite injuries, and because they have the best and most prepared depth in the league, Calgary was able to take this game by a mere point, 26-25. They will travel to the nation's capital to take on our Red Blacks next week. The Bombers will try to shake off this heartbreak as they get ready to meet another strong defense in the Edmonton Eskimos. Final thought on the injuries that have been plaguing the league this year. It certainly feels like there are more injuries early out of the gate this season than there was last, and there's no doubt that it's having an impact on the game. Whether at quarterback or at running back or on the O-line, fans are being treated to seeing some fresh new talent, and that makes the game even more exciting. But I am particularly fascinated with the way that teams handle injuries. For a team like Calgary, the next guy on the chart just always seems ready. We saw this last year, and we're seeing it again this year. Whereas in Saskatchewan, injuries have become the excuse for the 0-4 start, as new guys have to step up before they're ready to do it. The mark of a strong team in a game as injury-ridden as football really is the depth chart. And it's not just making sure that there's enough talent on the depth chart, but making sure that the guys who are waiting for their shot are prepared when it gets here. Huffnagel just has this down to a science. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Around the CFL. Remember to tweet us back with the hashtag ATCFL with your thoughts about your league at BleedRedBlacks and at OttawaJ.
Thank you for listening to this week's installment of the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. All musical content used in this podcast is all local Ottawa talent. If you are a local artist wanting to get your material heard on Bleed Red Blacks, send us a message on our Facebook group. Tune in next time, and remember to bleed red black.